Blue John, Britain's Georgian gemstone, the Duchess of Devonshire's rocky romance. One of the less well-known facts about Georgiana Cavendish, Duchess of Devonshire and leader of fashion in the late 18th century, was that she collected rocks. Visitors to Chatsworth, home of the Duke of Devonshire, can view her mineral collection, along with vases and bowls made from Britain's rarest semi-precious stone, Blue John. The mineral became highly popular with craftsmen and their customers in the late Georgian period, and coincidentally its only known source was just a few miles from Chatsworth, in the hills above Castleton. Blue John is found nowhere else in the world. It is still mined today, but only in tiny quantities, as very little remains in the ground. The two remaining mines, which are mainly natural caverns, are now largely tourist attractions. The beginnings of Blue John mining. Lead has been mined around Castleton for hundreds of years, possibly even by the Romans, and mining records began in 1280. But there is no reference to the mining and use of Blue John before the 1760s. Trevor Ford, in his book Derbyshire Blue John, explores and debunks stories of Blue John ware being found at Roman Pompeii. Blue John is a form of fluorospar, a common material that occurs in many colours. What makes it unique to Derbyshire is the particular colouring, with bands of purple and blue, yellow and off-white. Formed in the cracks within limestone, no two sections of Blue John are alike. Where the bands of Blue John reached the surface, they would have been visible. 17th century travellers refer to azure or sapphire spar being found in the Peak District, but say nothing about it being mined or used in any way. All that changed in the 1760s, when the name Blue John appeared in guidebooks, and the mineral was used in ornaments. Robert Adam inlaid Blue John into fireplaces at Kedleston Hall, and manufacturer Matthew Bolton used it extensively. In his Sketch of a Tour, dated 1777, William Bray wrote of a mine near Castleton, "They get out of it some Blue John, used by the polishers for making vases, etc." How Blue John was mined. The lead miners of Castleton must have observed Blue John as they went about their business underground. In naturally formed caverns, loose pieces of both lead and Blue John would be mixed in with the silt that filled the caves, and which the miners dug out and searched through for minerals. Digging Blue John out of the cave walls demanded some skill, as it is relatively fragile. The limestone around the material would have to be chipped away to release it, with miners using various techniques to break into the rock walls. One of these was to push wooden pegs into the cracks, then soak the wood with water, causing it to swell and break the crack open further. Another approach was to light a fire against a wall, leaving it to burn overnight, and then throw water against the wall. The sudden change in temperature would cause it to crack. Having been extracted, Blue John had to be dried for a year or two before it could be worked without damaging its structure. Because it is relatively soft, Blue John is easily damaged. Many objects are coated in resin to protect them, and the process of applying this resin was often regarded as a trade secret. While they are tourist caverns today, the mines held little interest to Georgian visitors. William Bray seems to have been persuaded to go down during his tour and records, "The descent, however, is dirty and difficult, and there is not anything at the bottom worth seeing." The popularity of Blue John. "I have found a new use for Blue John," wrote Matthew Bolton in 1768, which was to turn it into vases. His intent was expressed in a letter, in which he asked someone to inquire about the possibility of leasing a Blue John mine. He also asked that his contact not reveal the name of Bolton as part of the inquiry. "I beg you will be quite secret as to my intentions." A year later, Bolton bought 14 tons of best quality Blue John, from which he made vases, candelabra, and other ornaments. Some survive in Britain's great houses, including Buckingham Palace. A tourist trade developed around the Blue John mines in the early 1800s, although going underground remained difficult. It wasn't until 1836 that a new, easier path was cut through the rock into the Blue John cavern mines, and concrete steps were not laid until the early 20th century. William Adam had plenty to say about Blue John in his book The Gem of the Peak, or Matlock Bath and its Vicinity, first published in 1838. He noted that a tour of the mine cost 1 shilling per person, and that the descent is very rapid, and over very rough but safe steps, down which a rail is carried for the passage of the mining wagon. But by the time Adam was exploring the Blue John mines, the mineral was already starting to fall from favour, and the latter half of the 19th century saw the small industry decline sharply. The stone is still being mined today, although in very small quantities. The supply of this rare mineral, highly prized by Georgian gentry, could be exhausted within the next decade. Georgian examples of Blue John. Here are some of the places where you can see Blue John being used in Georgian decorative objects. Chatsworth House. Unsurprisingly, given its proximity to the source of Blue John, the house contains several vases and other ornaments, and even a window made of Blue John. The collection includes the Chatsworth Tazza, the largest single-piece ornament made in 1842, and currently on display in the dining room. The house also contains the Shaw vase, made in 1815, although it's not clear whether this is on public display. Hinton Ampner, Hampshire. This house is home to an impressive collection of Georgian decorative objects, including several made from Blue John. Natural History Museum, London. Here you can see several Blue John vases. According to Ford, the collection includes what is probably the largest Blue John vase ever made, created by John Vallance around 1840. Lauriston Castle, Edinburgh. This museum houses a collection of over 80 Blue John ornaments from the late 18th century. Fireplaces containing Blue John can be found at Kedleston Hall and the Georgian House Museum in Bristol. Others exist, but are less accessible to the public.